Hey, Magic friends, this is the Captain speaking. Put them tray tables and seat backs in their full upright position as we head into spoiler season for D&D. That's right, spoiler season has started this week, and it's time to get in dirty. Modern Horizons is barely just getting started, and we're already in the D&D, and we'll be in there by the end of the month. It's crazy. I don't know what to say. So, with that said, I have got your spoilers for today. And as always, the eBay store is up and running strong. Check out the description in the link below, along with an email for myself and the store. I'll respond when I get a chance. And while you're at it, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, tell your friends and family about the channel to get some subs. I really do appreciate all the help and support for the channel. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what D&D's packing. So our first card is Oswald, Fiddle Bender. So we have one white and one rare. It's a 2/2 legendary creature. It's a gnome artificer. For a white and tap it, you sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card whose mana value is equal to the mana value of the sacrificed artifact plus 1. Then put it onto the battlefield. Shuffle your library. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, I haven't looked at any of these cards yet, and all I gotta say about this one is just wow. Um, this is basically Birthing Pot on a creature for artifacts only. And as you guys know, there's been a lot of powerful artifacts here lately. This may even see legacy play, modern play, and it could be very well just amazing. Excuse me, just in standard in general. So yeah, this is a great card. I think it's gonna see a lot of play. So the next card we have up is the Tiger Tribe Hunter. 2 red and 3 for a 4/4. It's a human barbarian. It has trample. It has a new mechanic called Pack Tactics, where the Tiger Tribe Hunter attacks. If you attacked with a total power of 6 or greater this combat, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, the Tiger Tribe Hunter deals damage to target creature equal to the sacrificed creature's power. So Pack Tactics is pretty much if you attack with a total power of 6 or greater, you get to do a thing. So this is just an uncommon. Probably going to be good in draft. That's about as far as it's going to go. Next, we have the Deadly Dragon Turtle. I'm sure everybody remembers this from the old Monsters Guide. So for 2 blue and 1, you get a 3/5 with Flash. That's kind of cool. Its ability called Drag Below is when the Dragon Turtle enters the battlefield, you tap it, and up to one target creature an opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So if you cast the Dragon Turtle, you can tap it and tap down somebody else's creature. As a blue rare, this seems very good. Locking down your opponent's creatures, preventing them from doing things. This is kind of power blue's been looking for a while, but I don't think it should have it, only because this thing's also a creature. It can kill people. Like, this is going to be a serious card, guys. I think it's going to be good. Also, we have the Majestic Celestial Unicorn. So this common is a 1 white 2 colors for a 3/2, bite on rate for standard. Whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Celestial Unicorn. Oh, so it's a Johnny's Pride mate for 1 more. That's just what the world needs. Great, moving on. Next, we have the Intrepid Outlander. So for green and colorless, you get a 2/3. God, these power creeps nuts. Cause it also has reach, and it has Pack Tactics, which if you remember that is if you tackle creatures powering 6 or more, you get to do something, and this creature lets you venture in the dungeon. So even without the Pack Tactics, just a 2 mana 2/3 with reach is strong. This is an amazing uncommon. We'll probably see some standard play, but we'll definitely see sealed play. This thing and draft. This thing is just nuts. So moving on, we have the Ranger's Hawk. Ranger get. 1 white, 1/1 flyer. For 3 and tapping it, you tap another untapped creature you control, and you get to venture into the dungeon. This is going to be a powerhouse in sealed. Um, Not to mention draft. And it may very well be amazing in standard, depending on how this whole venture mechanic into the dungeon actually starts to play out. So moving on. Next we have Wish. So for red and 2 colorless, a sorcery, you may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. Oh my. Okay. So first, this should be mythic. Second, this is going to be in every EDH deck. Um, Not to mention it might be good in standard. 3 mana is probably a bit much for modern, but this just seems really powerful. Will it be broken? I don't know, but this just seems Oh, so bad. Anyway, moving on. Baleful Beholder. So we have our very first Beholder, guys. It's 2 black and 4 for a Beholder. It's a 6/5. When it enters the battlefield, you choose one. You get the Anti-Magic Cone, if you remember that attack from the good old days. Each opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Or you get the Fear Ray, where creatures you control gain menace until end of turn. One thing I do gotta admit, guys, I really love the flavor text they got going on this stuff. This is just phenomenal. What I mean flavor text, I mean like anti-magic cone. It tells you what it does. Fear ray tells you what it does. It gives you the D&D mechanic and then the actual effect of what that does and what that means translated to magic. So I'm really loving that whole thing, and we'll see more of that as we go on. For example, here you have the inspiring bard for a green and 3. You get a 3/3. You get to choose one when it comes in. You get bardic inspiration, where target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn, or you get a Song of Rest, where you gain 3 life. Again, decent card for draft, just amazing. The Battlecry Goblin, red and 1 for a 2/2. For a red and 1, goblins you control get +1/+1 in a turn and gain haste. That seems really good. It also has battle tactics, where you get to create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that is tapped and attacking. So the good thing about this is going to be in every mono red deck. Probably not in modern, mind you, but definitely in standard. 1 red and 1 for a 2-drop. That's a 2/2 that basically has fire breathing for 2. That once you fire breathe enough into it, will start pumping out more goblins that also get +1/+1. Like he goes across other goblins. Like this almost could have been a rare, I think. This card seems really good. Probably going to see a lot of play. Moving on, we have a white. So black and 1 for a 3/2. Enters the battlefield tapped. It's a rare. Has life drain. Whenever a creature dealt damage by a white this turn dies, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token and exile that card. Ooh. So this definitely could be a thing with like some first strike decks or um, any kind of shenanigans where you can tap this creature and have it deal damage to something. Yeah, seems pretty good. This is probably going to be a commander delight. But honestly, for a 3/2 for 2, this is going to be in every mono black deck. Um, or any aggro deck. So yeah, this is going to be a great card. Moving right along, we have the Hobgoblin Captain. It's a red and 1 for a 3/1. Again, great red cards. It has pack tactics. Once again, attack with a power 6 or greater among all your creatures. And he gains first strike. Ooh, that's really strong. You get 2 of these out, swing on both of them. They both have first strike. Wow, that's a real powerful common. That's going to see some definite play. Next here we have the gelatin, or the ochre jelly. It's a slime. Anyway, so the ooze has trample. It's a green and X. And it comes into play with X +1/+1 counters on it. It also has divide. So when it dies, if it had 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you create a token copy at the beginning of your next end step. That token enters the battlefield with half of those +1/+1 counters. So if you play this for 7, you get a 3/3. Or let's do even math. Let's say you play it for 5. Or I'm sorry, 4. Yeah, 5 mana. So it becomes a 4/4. If it dies as a 4/4, you get 2/2s, and then you get 4/1/1s, and then it finally dies. Not only is this going to be a great card in standard, not so much modern, you don't generate a lot of mana. This is going to be a serious commander card. Just amazing, guys. So pick them up early. Moving on, you'll find the villain's lair. This is a different one. So 2 blue and 1 instant where you can do foil the scheme, which is counter target spell. That's a sweet counter spell. And learn their secrets. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Ooh, a multi-purpose counterspell with draw and discard. This seems like a powerhouse. I don't understand why it's a common. I mean, it's actually card disadvantage. I get that. But there are some decks that are okay with that. So I see this being a good card just because it's a counterspell, if nothing else. So moving on, we have the Dueling Rapier. So for 1 red, you get an equipment that has flash. When it enters the battlefield, you can attach it to target creature you control, and it gets +2/+0. Equips for 4. This is a really sweet card for those first striking creatures you have, especially for red. This is something red normally doesn't do. I mean, it started with the Embercleave, right? But that whole in and equip with first strike, oof, hardcore. So moving on, we have a mythic. We have the Ebondeth Dracolich. It's 4 mana for a 5/2. It's a mythic. It has flash and flying, and enters tapped. Now you may cast the Dracolich from your graveyard if a creature not named, basically this card, has died this turn. So this is gonna be a probably $40-50 card, just because we've already seen one good black card for mono black, and with this one, I mean, you play it, they kill it, who cares? You keep swinging with your little 1/1 creatures or whatever, and when those creatures die, you just bring out the big 5/2. Like, da 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 da. It's, yeah, this is going to be a serious powerhouse. Moving on. Next, we have the Moonblessed Cleric. For a white and 2 colors, you get a 3/2 with Divine Intervention, and that is when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put it on top of your library. So, not too bad. Um, it's basically an old card that you used to be able to go fetch one and put it in your hand. That was a 1/2 for 3, but this one's a 3/2 for 3. Ugh, yeah, a lot more powerful. So this is definitely going to be good. Moving on, we have the notorious Black Dragon of D&D, and it is apparently a 2 black and 5 colorless to cast. That's a 4/4 flyer, and it has acid breath like all black dragons do. And when it does, what that means is when it enters a battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 till end of turn. This seems like a pretty decent card for draft, but it just costs probably way too much for standard or any other format. So sadly enough, probably won't see a whole lot of action. Moving on. Next we have the Green Dragon. This one is only 6 mana, 2 green and 4 for a 4/4 flyer. It's pretty good on rate. It has Poison Breath, which does, when it enters the battlefield, a creature an opponent control. When it enters the battlefield until end of turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, you destroy it. Wow, that's pretty cool. Not too shabby. Again, probably won't see standard play. Better stuff he could do for a 6, I think. But still, nice on flavor, like it. Great draft. We have the Adult Gold Dragon. Ooh, so we have Boros here, or whatever you want to call it. White, red, and 3 colors for a 4/3 flying lifelink haste, and it's a rare. So this is going to definitely see play just because it has haste, lifelink, and flying. It may not have a deck to support it immediately, but it does seem pretty powerful to me. So, moving right along, we have the Book of Vile Darkness. I'm sure you guys remember this. It's 3 black, legendary artifact. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, which on face value seems phenomenal. And then you can tap to exile the Book of Darkness and artifacts you control named Eye of Vecna, Hand of Vecna, to create Vecna, a legendary 8/8 black zombie god creature token with indestructible. It gains all triggered abilities of the exiled cards. That is crazy good, especially for 3 black. So it gets this ability of if you lose 2 life, you create creatures, plus any other artifact that you want to just throw in there while you're at it, which could be anything, honestly. I'm not going to look into it right now because I got to get to bed sometime today, and I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to me ramble forever. But this is going to be a mythic that's going to definitely be busted. Because it's 3 black, it's not a creature, you can immediately sacrifice it. It's really going to matter on what the Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna cost to get out. And what abilities they have on them in general. So, very interesting. I think it's going to be a powerhouse in all formats. Next, we have Werewolf Pack Leader. So for 2 green, you get a 3/3. That's already phenomenal. It doesn't have Defender, so it can attack, and it's got Pack Tactics, which lets you draw a card. That is insane. And for 4, you can turn it into a 5/3 Trampler that isn't human because it becomes a werewolf, basically. This rare should have been a mythic. This is some powerhouse green abilities right here. If you get 2 of them out, you can attack and draw 2 cards. Like, this is very high on the coolness level and on the power level, guys. I'd definitely be hooking yourself up with a couple of these guys. Moving on, we have the Orb of Dragon kind, if you guys remember that little fella. It's an artifact for red and colorless. For 1 and tapping, you can add 2 mana of any combination spend to cast a dragon. So this is ramp for dragon and dragon abilities, which is pretty sweet. And for 1 red and sacrificing the orb, you can look at the top 7 cards of your library, reveal a dragon from among them, and put them into your hand with the rest on the bottom random order. This seems really powerful with just leaving Strixhaven with every color having a dragon. Not to mention the fact you can tap this to cast any color dragon you want, because it gives you 2 mana of any combination. This just seems bonkers. Almost like a standard dragon deck could really be possible, because you could literally cast a 5 mana dragon on turn 3. 4 mana dragon. But yeah, so yeah, this thing's just bonkers. You guys might want to keep a couple of these around just in case something weird jumps off. Moving along, we have 50 feet of rope, like every good adventurer should have. So for 1 colorless, you have the ability to tap it to climb over, which means the wall can't block. Pretty cool. For 3 and tapping, you can tie up, which means target creature doesn't untap as long as target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, which is really neat because this still untaps. You can actually keep 2 creatures locked down with it. And then for 4 untapping, you have repel down. You actually get to venture into the dungeon. So very multi-purpose, great for draft. Probably won't see a whole lot of standard play. Maybe the type ability is really good and the repel down might actually be a thing. But that's probably about as far as it's going to go. Modern or anything like that probably ain't going to mess with this. Moving right along, next we have the Manticore. So for a black and 3, you get a 2/1 that has flash and flying. A lot of flash creatures in this set. It has tail spikes, which gives the Manticore, when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. So it's your basic 4 mana flash creature in black that kills something that's already taken damage. So, it's a common though. Next we have, you see a pair of goblins. Well, how many times have you guys heard that? So for red and 2 colorless, you have an instant that says you get to charge the goblins, which gives you +2/+0 on all your creatures, or you can befriend them and create 2 1/1 red goblin tokens, which is pretty cool, gotta admit. I really like the flavor on this one. It's only an uncommon. It might see some play if that other goblin creature that's a 2-drop that gives all goblins haste and +1/+0 becomes a thing. Just because, you pump that thing once, you got 3 goblins on the field, now you're doing 6 damage. So goblin decks could definitely be a thing again. Moving forward, we have choose your weapon. For a green and 2 colorless, you get to pick 2 weapon fighting, which gives you double target creature's power and toughness till end of turn, or you can pick archery, which deals 5 damage to a creature with flying. Very interesting variation there. Normally it's a disenchant with a deal damage to a flyer. This time it's double the power and toughness and 5 damage to a flyer. And the cool thing about this is it says power and toughness, not just double their power. So I don't think it's going to see standard play per se. Maybe it will in some kind of fringe deck. But this is going to be a serious powerhouse in draft and sealed. I definitely would be drafting on this one, boys. Next we have Grazolax, the Illithid Scholar. Blech. Also known as Commander Hentai. So moving on, we have 2 blue and 1 for a 3/2. Whenever creature you control becomes blocked, you may return to your hand, which that will save a lot of creatures from being ambushed. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal damage to a player, you get to draw a card. This seems very powerful for blue. I don't think it's going to be overpowered. We've seen cards like this in the past, not do too much. But this one's pretty sweet. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to guess anywhere from $1 to $3 on a good day. Bad day, seriously, bulk common. But actually, the commander guys could really pick this card up and put them in their decks just because of that whole draw card thing and getting to bounce your creatures and save them, especially have come into play abilities. So, could be a thing. Next, we have Bull's Strength. So for a green and 1, target creature gets +2/+2 and trampled in a turn, and you get to untap it. Probably won't be a big thing in standard, obviously. This is going to be a great combat trick for draft and sealed, just because you can untap a creature and ambush something. Plus, it gets big enough that it doesn't die. So, great card. Like it. Next, we move on to the Gelatinous Cube. Dun, dun, dun. How many of these you guys run into? So, this one is on flavor. I read it earlier because I was really curious. I like it a lot. So, for 2 black and 2, you get a 4/3. That's already okay. I mean, not the greatest value, but it's in the right range. It is rare, and its abilities it has engulf. So when it enters the battlefield, you exile a target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until the cube leaves play. So it's black removal already, and it gives you a 4/3, which is phenomenal. Plus, if the cube leaves play, they get the creature back. But for a black and X, which is X is the mana value of the creature you exile with it, you can literally put it into the owner's graveyard and kill it, because that basically means the cube ate it. Love the flavor text, love the card, love the mechanic on this. It's going to be very powerful. You wait and see. Especially if somebody's making some kind of weird token, because who knew that, when you make the 8/8 Vecna God zombie that's indestructible, that you could just be like, I have a Gelatinous Cube. I'll pay 1 black. Gulp. Thank you. Good night. Kind of funny, really. Anyway, moving on. You hear something on the watch. He must be on third shift. So for a white and a colorless, you get to choose one. You can rouse your party, and your creatures get +1/+1, which is not too terrible. Or you can set off traps, and it does 5 damage to the target attacking creature. So this is a great pump/kill spell. Probably won't see a lot of play in a standard, but this is going to be a draft sealed powerhouse for how versatile it is. So moving right along, we have Donbringer Cleric for a white and a colorless. You have a 1/3. When it enters, you can choose one. You can cure wounds where you gain 2 life. Hey, funny cleric. Get it? Anyway, or dispel magic, destroy target enchantment. That is amazing. And gentle response, exile a card from a graveyard. So even at common, this thing's probably going to see play, just because if you're going to play disenchant, why not play a creature with disenchant? Right? I mean, it doesn't kill artifacts. I get that. But if enchantment decks become a thing, like, why would you not play disenchant with legs on it? That once you cast it, you get the disenchant, and then you get the beaten face. I mean, it is just a 1/3, but a 1/3 is better than just a card in a graveyard, right? So, moving right along. Next here we have, I love this one, Cave of the Frost Dragon. So this is part of the land cycle on this, which looks like every land is going to get one for every color, which is when you control 2 or more lands, this actually comes into play tapped. So it's kind of like those lands that come into play untapped for 2 or less. Well, actually, it has to be the first one, don't it? See if you control 2 or more. Yeah, so it has to be the first land you play to get it untapped, which is fine. But for 5 mana, it becomes the Frost Dragon, which is a 3/4 white dragon with flying until end of turn. We've seen several cards like this, so I think we're gonna have creature lands again at a little higher price, so they're not so broken. But I do like the fact that we get creature lands again. This is a really sweet card. I can't wait to see the rest of the cycle. So the Black Staff of Waterdeep for 1 blue is a legendary artifact. You may choose not to untap it during your untap step, because you can animate walking statue. It basically means for blue and a colorless, you can tap it, and target non-token artifact creature you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature for as long as the staff is tapped. I don't see this being a big deal, because if that's all it does, it's just whatever. But I mean, cool nostalgia, right? It's the Black Staff of Waterdeep. Moving on, we have the Guild Thief. So for blue and a colorless, you get a 1/1. When it deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. That is amazing. Not to mention, you have Cunning Action, where for 4 mana it can't be blocked, so it can honestly attack all the time and just keep growing. So basically, it's like hit you for 1, hit you for 2, hit you for 3. So that's already 6 damage on turn 3 or on third swing, and that's really good, guys. I think this card is tons of promise. Tons of promise. Give it double strike, put 2 counters on it, right? Like, this card's gonna be. I think this card's gonna be good. Amazing in draft and sealed, by the way. Oh god, disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, take a look at this little brain with legs. So it's the notorious Devourer of Intellect. So for 1 black, you can target opponent discards a card from a hand. If mana from a treasure was spent for this, instead the player reveals their hand, they choose an online card from it, and that player discards that card. So if you use a treasure to play this, it's a free Thoughtseize, which is fine. But just the ability for 1 black to make them discard a card is probably good enough, really, to make this usable. And the make the treasure, I guess, condition might be abusable. I'm not real sure right now, though. But at common, it's probably got a little bit of play to it, but I wouldn't be too hung up on this one. I don't think it's gonna see that much play. But yeah, this little fella. I can't tell if he's scared or if that used to be his dog. Anyway, moving on. Next here we have you come to a river. Boy, we've heard that too many times, haven't we? So for blue and colors, you get to pick 2 things, or 1 thing out of 2. You can fight the current, which returns target non-permanent donor's hand, so it's a bounce spell. Or find a crossing, where target creature gets +1/+0 to end of turn and can't be blocked. Again, this is a cycle of stuff that they're doing where you get either like a defensive spell or an attack spell, and it's really cool, and I like it a lot. So moving on. We have the blundering barbarian. So for red and 2 colorless, when he comes into play, you can choose one. So 3 mana 2/2, okay on rate for a common. You can smash the chest, which means he has a destroy artifact attached to him, or you can pry it open and create a treasure token. Both of these are really sweet because it could also be ramp, so that you can make a 5-drop on turn 4. As a common, this card may see play, really just depending on what the format looks like, because the ability to have a destroy artifact as well is phenomenal. And this is going to be in every draft deck. So if you're trying to build your deck around artifacts, you might as well give that up if you play against a red player. Moving right along. Next, we have a doozy, guys. Circle of Dreams Druid. So 3 green for a 2/1. It's a rare elf. Add 1 green for each creature you control. Not each elf you control, each creature. So we have another elf-centric card that's just busted. Just because of the amount of mana you can make with it. So I think this card is going to be very valuable. It might not see very much standard play because of the three green, but this could easily go into elf ball in several formats. So that may drive the price of this one up a little bit. Or Commander, moving right along. You see a guard approach. Look out, it's the guard, run. So for 1 blue, you can choose one. You can distract your guard and tap a creature, which is a good way to defend yourself, or kill somebody. Plus, there's also the hide option, where target creature you control gains hexproof to end a turn. Both these options are really good, especially for a common. This is going to be amazing in draft, and this might even see standard and modern play. Because for 1 blue as an instant, the kind of things this does makes this a really powerful card, in my opinion. So, moving right along. Next, we have Charmed Sleep. This is basic reprint. 2 blue and 1. You enchant a creature, it causes it to tap. It doesn't untap during its controls and tap step. Pretty much locking it down, almost like a pacifism. And it's really just a reprint of other card. We've had this kind of same card before for the same cost. So, Next, we have a Flame Skull. Good old spell. This is a mythic, though. For 2 red and 1, it's a mythic that's a 3/1. Has flying, can't block. But it also has rejuvenation, which means when it dies, you exile it, and then exile the top card of your library. And until the end of turn, you may play one of those cards. So if you attack with a Flame Skull, they block it and they kill it. You exile the skull, flip the top card of your deck over. If you choose to cast the skull again, then you can just keep repeating this. But if you ever cast the other spell, you can't cast the skull. You only get to choose one spell out of the 2. So if you choose the skull, the other card is gone. If you choose the other card, the skull is gone. So, but still, in a red deck, this may be something that you need just to turn through your deck. Like, seems pretty cool. Plus, you just keep casting it for 3. Moving right along, next we have the Icing Death Frost Tyrant, good old dragon. So for white, it's 2 white and 2 for a 4/3 flying vigilance. That's already really powerful, guys. Like, I don't know let me say that again. 2 white and 2, 4 mana for a 4/3 flying vigilance. Now with that, you also get, when it dies, you get something called Icing Death Frost Tongue, which is a legendary artifact, a legendary white artifact, token that has equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls equips for 2. The fact that you play this and they have to kill it, and then you get a card that you can equip to another creature to eliminate one of their blockers and probably kill them. This is just got power. This is just a powerhouse for white, guys. So yeah, like I would expect to see this in lots of decks, especially standard. Moving right along, we have a treasure chest. You come into a room, you see a chest on the floor. So this is the one for the D20, guys, which is probably why the D20 that we have is not a spin down in this set. We figured it out. So for 3 colorless, you get an artifact. It's rare. It says for 4, you sacrifice the treasure chest, you roll a D20. 1, it's trapped, you lose 3 life, and that'll probably kill you. But anyway, so for 2 through 9, you create 5 treasure tokens. That is insane. And then for 10 through 19, you gain 3 life and draw 3 cards. I mean, yeah, yes please. And 20, you basically search your library for a card, and if it's an artifact, you can put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, it goes to your hand. This card, as a rare, is going to be busted 5 ways to Friday. It just does so much. But the only thing that's really going to keep it under control is the fact that you have to roll a dice, and the odds of you getting something good is probably not going to happen. But can you just imagine actually hitting that nat 20 and just ripping out some insane artifact from your deck and just like, and voila, on the table for thud. Take my 30 mana cost artifact and play it for free and watch you cry. Um, so this will probably see some standard plays. It seems really good. And you commander guys, I can hear you drooling on the other side of the mic. Like yeah, this thing's gonna be a powerhouse in commander. Not to mention just not just a powerhouse, but fun, and that's what it's about, right? So moving right along. Next here we have we have another treasure chest. Oh wait, that's a mimic. Oopsie. So what the mimic is for 2 you get an artifact treasure. You can tap and sacrifice the mimic to add 1 mana of any color, or for 2 mana it becomes a 3/3 till end of turn. That's really powerful, guys. Especially, yeah, you got to resync mana into it, yada yada yada. But it has the ability to add mana. It could be a creature. Like this is a powerhouse for draft and sealed. And it may even have a brief chance at seeing some standard play just because of how versatile it is. But anyway, moving forward. Here it is, guys. Xanthethar, the Guild Kingpin, Captain Beholder himself, Jabba the Eyeball. Anyway, so for a black, blue, and 4 colorless, 6 mana, you get a 5/6. Then, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library at any time, and you may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana, Zoe, or any color to cast the spell. So commanded players rejoice. More weird shenanigans for you to mess with the game, and this may even be a powerhouse for standard. Only because of 6 mana, you couldn't play this in modern, but like if you get this on the field and they can't deal with it, like they'll never play their cards, and they can't counterspell you anymore if they're running counterspells because they can't cast spells on your turn. This is insane. This is really powerful. But it is a beholder. I mean, I think it should have been more powerful, but we'll see. Maybe they're trying to dumb the set down a little bit, try to curb that power creep. So here we have the purple worm. That's about what it looks like. I mean, yeah, in D&D. So for 2 green and 5, you get an 8/7. Ho ho. 7 mana for an 8/7. It's about on rate, so it's an uncommon. It says this spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature died this turn. It has ward 2. And draft and sealed, this is going to be a powerhouse. Not to mention maybe even standard if you run a token deck and you get them to pop off like 2 or 3 of your tokens. So that like for 3 mana or 2 mana, you get to lay it at 8/7. Boy. All I can say is I'm glad they didn't give this damn thing trample. Moving on. Next here we have it's the Den of the Bugbear. It's the actual picture. We've already viewed this card before. Excuse me. This is the land cycle for red that comes into play tapped if you have more than 2. Taps for red and becomes a 3/2 goblin for 4 that makes other goblins when it attacks. That is dumb. This is probably one of the better ones because there's a serious goblin theme I see going here, which could be very, very powerful in standard. Maybe modern at this rate. Moving on, we have the blue cycle for the cards, which is the Hall of the Storm Giants. So once again, 2 or more lands, it comes in play tapped. It taps for blue. So for blue and 5 until end of turn, the Hall of the Storm Giants becomes a 7/7 blue giant creature with ward 3 and is still a land. This is nuts. This basically says I'm going to play a control deck / removal deck and have 4 of these cards, and whenever I get around to it, I'm going to punch you in the face 3 times. Which, like before, was something the decks used to do a lot, and they still try to. They haven't really had a card like this to do that. Yes, 6 mana is a lot, but if all you're doing is drawing, laying land, countering their spells, and board wiping, what do you care? When they're out of stuff to do, you're just like, all right, nothing to do this turn, huh? Let me just put 6 mana in this thing and punch you in the face. And it's, by the way, it's got ward 3, so you pay 3 extra mana for your removal spell. So, also too, like you'd be like, oh, Stone Ring your thing. You're like, well, I'll make it a creature with ward 3. Oh, you don't have no mana up, so you can't Stone Ring my guy. Lots of possibilities here, guys. I think this is going to be a powerhouse if blue control can be a thing in standard again. Just a powerhouse. Next we have the Vicious Owlbear. So for 2 green and 3, you get a 4/4. Has trample because why would a bird not have trample? It has Keen Sense, which is when the owlbear enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So 5 mana for a 4/4 you draw a card off of. Might be a 1 or 2 of in standard. Hardcore draft and sealed card. Oh my god, is this good. So yeah. Next we have Binion of the Mighty. Look guys, kobolds are back. A 1 red 0/1 kobold, that's a rare. Never thought I'd see the day. With that said, it also has pack tactics, which if you attack with power 6 or greater, which if you have 6 of these guys out, you're still at 0, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, if you have him out there with something else and you swing with him, it does let you put a dragon card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and that signals to me some serious shenanigans, um, which could very well kill people. Um, you know, just saying. Just flopping dragons on the field. But I am glad to see Cobalt's back. Be real good with Cobalt Keep and Kerr Ridge and all that good stuff. Anyway, moving on. I think that card's gonna be worth money just because of old Cobalt cards. We have the Sphere of Annihilation. Everybody knows this spell. So if it's a black and X, and it's an artifact, guys, and it says when it comes into play, it enters with X void counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile Sphere of Annihilation, and all creatures and planeswalkers with mana value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it. And then all creatures and planeswalkers in the graveyards with the mana value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it as well get exiled. I think this is really good. I mean, yes, you have to wait a turn for it so they can interact with it, so it's not oppressingly overpowered. But if you can put this on the field and survive the turn that they swing on, you can literally just wreck their entire game plan. Really could be. It's like paying up front for a Nevinyrral's disc because most things are 4, and you got to pay 1 to tap it. So for 5, you get basically a 4 mana disc that automatically goes off on the next turn. So not ideal, but I think there will be a time and a place for this, and it seems pretty sweet. Not to mention, the flavor is just amazing. We have the black one. Next, we have Hive of the Eye Tyrant. If you didn't know what an Eye Tyrant was, that's what they used to call that thing when you were little and didn't know what it was. But anyway, it's a beholder. So moving on, if you control 2 or more lands, as always, it's that cycle. It comes untapped. So it's 1 black. So for 4 mana, it becomes a 3/3 black beholder creature with menace. And whenever it attacks, you exile target card from defending player's graveyard. That could be a serious thing with graveyard shenanigans. So once again, I really like this cycle of land, creature lands and so forth. It seems really powerful. Moving on some more, we have the Tarrasque or the Turrasque or the whatever you want to call it. But it is a legendary creature dinosaur. Godzilla. Anyway, so for 3 green and 6, which is 9 mana, you get a 10/10. Wow. It also, when it enters the battlefield, if it was cast, good luck, it gains haste and ward 10, which basically means if you cast it and they don't counter it, you are going to swing and punch them in the face. However, it also says when it attacks, it fights target creature the other opponent controls. You can actually kill a lot of things with this. Downfall, it does not have trample, which if it did, would probably make this thing broken as all get out. So probably a good thing. Seems powerful, but like 9 mana, you have to cast it from your hand to get extra abilities. We'll see. The big monkey from what was it? Oh my God, Throne of Eldraine. The big monkey from Throne of Eldraine. That was okay, but there's only 1 or 2 of, so this probably might be the same way. So moving on. Next here we have Valorous Bard. So for red 2, you get a 2/3. Not the best for red. But is a Tiefling Bard. Look at that, guys. Tiefling in the house. Next, it has Inspire, which means at the beginning of a combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay, so basically 3 mana, 3/3. Worst case scenario. So not terrible, I guess. And then we have Trelassera, the Moon Dancer. So for green and white, you have a legendary creature, Elf Cleric. When you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you scry 1. Ooh. Between this and the other card, it does the exact same thing, I think, for 3. You can make a serious life gain deck that would just really pound on some people because of all the counters and how big your creatures could get. So, seems good. It is an uncommon, though. It could be great in draft. Or sealed. So, guys, that's it for today. I do appreciate it. Thanks for coming. As always, like, subscribe, buy a little couple things on the eBay store. Help me out a little bit. Really would appreciate it. Thank you, sir. With that said, I do appreciate your time, and I cannot wait to see you guys at the local LGS. We can draft some cards, and here come up at the end of the month, we can really get down and dirty with some good old-fashioned D&D with no DM. Also, guys, for those who stayed for the whole video, remember to keep an eye out on July 4th. I am doing my first special collector booster box. So I don't know nobody who ever watches this far, so nobody will know about it. You'll all be surprised. For the 4th of July, birthday of America, I will do a collector box opening with prices on screen. So thank you very much, guys. You have a good time. Thanks for hanging out and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. And sorry these videos are so long, but when they drop what seems like half the set at one day, just spoilers, they get kind of lengthy. So this is your captain speaking, guys, and I'll see you next time.